Hello, thanks for joining us. This is Nationwide. I'm Ruth Aguele. We'll begin with legislative matters. The Senate on Monday continued with its screening of ministerial nominees submitted to it by President Bola Tinubu. During the proceedings this Monday, Festus Kayamo, SAN, who was one of the nominees for a ministerial position, had his screening suspended before the Senate went into a closed-door session.
A motion has been moved and seconded that this Senate do resolve into a closed session to iron out some issues of national concern. Those who are in support of this closed session as moved say aye. Those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate will now revert to a closed session. The press will leave us, and the nominee will leave us for a while we discuss.
The House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee on International Boundary Disputes has vowed to investigate the circumstances leading to the boundary dispute between Nigeria and Cameroon and the inability to trace Pillar 113A, which is a determinant factor in the boundary demarcation towards ensuring that Biajua and Danare communities in Cross River State are not ceded to Cameroon. Chairman of the committee, Benila, said this during the Calabar Zonal public hearing on the issue. Justina Etienne reports.
The International Court of Justice ruling of 10th October 2002 ceding Bakassi to Cameroon mandated the retracing of Cameroon-Nigeria international boundary line from Lake Chad region to Atlantic Ocean. However, Biajua and Danare communities in Boki local government area are alleging that a joint technical team mandated to handle the aforementioned task has failed to trace Pillar 113A, which is critical for proper demarcation.
The joint technical team is planning to use coercive measures to create new boundary line, regardless of the irrefutable evidence before them.
We wish to state without equivocation that Biajua is a Nigerian community at the border of the two countries. We shall not and will not oppose the retracing to demarcation of the international boundary if the exercise is properly carried out as law-abiding citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, but we shall resist any attempt to place a pillar where none existed.
Your positions have been noted and deliberations will be made on every single memorandum. But we'll go back to Abuja, deliberate further, and ensure we come up with a position that is in the best interest of Nigeria.
The Cross River State government promised to give the committee the needed support to actualize its task.
I want to believe that the stakeholders of Boki and particularly the areas affected will do the committee a whole lot by furnishing them with the necessary information to help them get at the truth and the right thing to be done.
The two communities are sending a save our soul message to the National Assembly to prevent them from losing their identity, farmlands, and rich forest reserve. In Calabar, Justina Etam, NTA News.
Let's talk sports. Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu earlier today retained her role as the chair lady in chief of the Super Falcons of Nigeria, which sadly lost to the Lioness of England in a round of 16 tie at the ongoing Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. Joined by wife of the Vice President, Nana Kashim Shettima, and Senate President's wife, Ekaite Akpabio, the First Lady rooted for the team as they held match favourites England to a barren draw in 120 minutes of fully charged encounter before losing 4-2 on penalties. Although her hope for the team to progress and bring the trophy home did not materialize, the First Lady congratulated the team for a job well done.
They played very well. We are proud of them. And we gave England, a run for their money. So we did well. We were proud of them. So we'll be waiting to receive them.
She reiterated her pledge to welcome the team home.
Yes, we'll receive them. Why not? We have to. We'll receive them when they come. They made us proud. The match wasn't easy for England. So it was like a bonus, you say, because they really played very well and they played fine soccer.
And more sports, let's bring you sports update. All right, as Super Falcons bows out of the FIFA Women's World Cup, we want to expand the discuss. We have a guest in the studio, Mr. Haruna Ilerika. He's a coach for Nigeria's future Eagles. Thank you so much for joining us on the news.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Well, our Super Falcons, it's the end of the road for them, but in such a painful way, you will say. But what are the positives we can take away from their performance?
Thank you. First of all, I want to say congratulations to Nigerians. It's not a bad outing. We have had a very wonderful round of 16, even though we lost at 1 minute at an extra penalty shootout. It's good for everybody because it's a vast improvement compared to what we played from the preliminary stage. That shows the game with every game they are improving. Yeah. Now the tournament is over. It is a reassessment time. The evaluation takes place. We are preparing for WAFCON, that is the African Cup of Nations, which is very essential for Nigeria to win. From what we have seen so far, the gain of this tournament will help us to get to WAFCON and do better. If we look at the way the coach made up the selection of 23 players that participated at the World Cup, it's a mixture of the old and the young. It gives opportunity for younger generation to come into the team. We have some young talented players like Abiodun, that is Deborah Abiodun, just came into the team. We have some Nigerian, have European player that were brought in who loves the nations better, and all of them, they have come in to come and represent their father's land, and they have performed wonderfully well. Now that it is now left for us to use the gain of this tournament in AFCON to be able to win the AFCON in the next few months. To me, some will be retiring from the team because of old age. We have some experienced old age player who have spent almost 15 years in the team. They will be retiring maybe at the end of this tournament or maybe after WAFCON. It depends on what the coach thinks about the composition of the team that will be going to AFCON. But I think by and large, we have been able to create a synergy and a transition for the team not to have a vacuum in terms of moving forward. I'm very happy as a person because what they displayed today shows that, yes, against any team in the whole world, we can put up a very brilliant performance. We are very unlucky that we didn't win the regulation time. I think it's a good omen the way it is at the moment. All right, and for the first time, we saw the Super Falcons, reach the last 16, and it's good you mentioned preparation ahead of AFCON. What would you say, should be put in terms of consideration, in terms of improved preparation and funding going forward? Funding is not that very easy because there is a general view that probably being women that they want to be having an ego with the men all over the world now. They claim for equal representation and then equal payment. It's not easy funding the national team. But it's, to me, the private sector has to come in very big at this stage, because what football is required is a lot and a lot of money. The camping exercise, the traveling, everything is a lot of money. So the federation, as far as I'm concerned, is not what they can do alone. All over the world, government is always involved, the private sector is always involved, and it helps to bring good preparation for the girls. Now that we are preparing for WAFCON, most of these girls, in fact, almost 100%, if not, are foreign-based players, and you know what it means bringing them from outside to come and do that training here or camping them outside. Yeah. We have been able to do this over the years, and that to me is another opportunity for us to. We have, in fact, the preparation is in top gear. When you consider the last 29 games the Falcon has played as a preparation to this particular World Cup, it's a very good development, and that was what brought about what we have seen, that all of us are hearing that, yes, they have done well, they have done this. It's that preparation that have done that. And with more friendly games now, I think we are good to go at AFCON. The team is already set.
All right, the 2027 FIFA World Cup, it's just 4 years from now. We hope that a lot will be put into consideration as they prepare ahead of that. They have shown dexterity, resilience, and wish them the very best. Thank you so much, Mr. Haruna Ilerika. He's the coach for Nigeria Future Eagles. Thank you for your time on the news.
Thank you very much.
Key players in the justice sector are brainstorming on how Africa and Africans can take advantage of the African Free Trade Zone Agreement. This is the core of the 2023 African Bar Association Conference holding in Pretoria, South Africa. The conference identified observance of the rule of law as the solution to the challenges on the continent of Africa. It also stressed the need for legal practitioners to extradite the free trade agreement in order to promote economic activities towards empowering the people. All right, let's head to Lagos now as we join Michael. He will pick up with more reports from his end.
Thank you, Ruth. Experts have always emphasized that early initiation of breast milk within an hour of birth and exclusive breastfeeding in the first 6 months of a child's life is critical to the health of an infant. Achieving this for working-class breastfeeding mothers comes with a myriad of challenges, and World Health leaders have dedicated this year's Breastfeeding Week to addressing the problems. Hingino John Adams tells us more.
Because I'm doing exclusive, I had to choose business, so I go everywhere with my baby.
Omaumi Tani sacrifices her comfort to ensure her baby enjoys benefits of breastfeeding. Some mothers do not have such privilege, which reflects in the 2022 statistics by the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, and World Health Organization, WHO. The data reveal that in Nigeria, exclusive breastfeeding rate is 29%, and that only 9% of organizations have a workplace breastfeeding policy, denying many mothers and babies the enabling environment for optimal breastfeeding. This has negative health implications on infants. This year's World Breastfeeding Week theme, Enabling Breastfeeding, Making a Difference for Working Parents, is aimed at addressing the problem.
8 to 12 times in a day. We expect a breastfeeding woman to breastfeed the baby. A woman that is working can express the breast milk, keep it in a refrigerator. Over 24 hours, the baby can still be given. Even without refrigerator, breast milk, when kept in a cool environment, can still be offered a baby for about 6 hours.
Breast milk is everything a baby needs right from birth until 6 months. So when we talk about the fluid the baby needs, all the water is in that breast milk, protection from infections, the ability to ensure that the mother's return to pregnancy state is achieved.
Experts are calling on authorities concerned to come up with policies that will support breastfeeding for working mothers. In Lagos, Hingino John Adams. NTA News.
Clean energy industry experts, environmentalists, and the academia have advocated an efficient source of alternative clean energy that could potentially reduce the operating cost in the telecommunication industry in Nigeria. The roundtable with the academia, industry, and other stakeholders held in Lagos was at the instance of the Nigerian Communications Commission.
Challenges the telecoms industry in Nigeria is facing is the issue of energy to power base stations and other active telecoms equipment. The roundtable is to enable the Nigerian telecom sector to find innovative solutions and alternative sources of energy to address the challenge of power supply. This is geared towards improving network coverage, quality of service, reducing network outage, and
developing feasible alternative sources of clean energy that the telecom industry can leverage for a sustainable energy supply.
Expertise and wealth of experience are invaluable resources that will undoubtedly guide future academic solutions.
There were discussions on refocusing academic research towards alternative clean energy, panacea to paucity of energy in the Nigerian telecom sector.
Opportunity will create the necessary synergy and collaboration to ensure that it actually impacts on our country.
For us as a university, we will keep promoting alternative source of energy.
The Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, says it will continue to play the important role of deepening and fostering research in fields of information and communications technology by involving the academia and stakeholders for the growth of the sector. In Lagos, Hingino John Adams, NTA News.
Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates.
Welcome back. Nigeria has signed the Civil Aviation Master Plan in an effort to unlock opportunities in Nigeria's aviation industry. The Director General of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, Captain Musa Nuhu, and the International Civil Aviation Organization Secretary General Juan Carlos Salazar signed the agreement during a visit to in Montreal, Canada. A statement by the Director General, Captain Musa Nuhu, says the master plan is a major step in repositioning the nation's aviation industry to attain its full potential in order to make significant contributions to the nation's economic growth and development. Stakeholders in the aviation industry are required to be involved in developing and implementing the master plan. The Federal Inland Revenue Service and the Joint Tax Board are working towards harmonizing taxes for increased revenue generation and creation of a more friendly ease of doing business environment. Stakeholders believe that these measures will attract both domestic and foreign investment, as well as enhance economic growth. Let's hear from Bosidi Ibo.
The ongoing tax reforms leading to suspension of 5% green tax on telecommunication services, as well as the excise duties escalation on locally manufactured products and other taxes by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is giving room for tax regulatory authorities to strategize by harmonizing revenue collection. The 153 meeting of the Federal Inland Revenue Service and the Joint Tax Board in Abuja is to plan towards codification of taxes at national and sub-national levels,
where the number of taxes at federal, state, and local government will be single digits. In other words, it will not exceed 9. Just imagine we can do that. We will really have solved a big problem.
The stakeholders described multiple taxation and other tax-related glitches and the effect on investment, and committed to solutions for economic growth.
The more of these taxes that we have, the less of the revenue we generate. So what do we want to do? We'll reduce those number of taxes, block leakages in the tax system for the 3 tiers of government.
For us to actually put our hands on the issue of practically bringing the harmonization to bear in the Nigeria tax system so that we are able to make the tax environment friendly to all and sundry in Nigeria.
The Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, recently announced a total tax revenue collection of 5.5 trillion naira, the highest tax revenue collection ever recorded by the service in any first 6 months of the fiscal year. In Abuja, Bosedi Ebo, NTA News.
Kogi State often makes headlines for flooding, traffic jams, politics, and sometimes security concerns. Well, interestingly, Lokoja, the state capital, was Nigeria's first capital, did you know? And is the point where the rivers Niger and Benue converge. Despite having numerous tourist attractions, many remain untapped. Our correspondent, Solomon Adeyedehi, is currently at Mount Patti, an adventure haven which also houses the NTA, Lokoja studios and other related offices. So we're joining him live now from that Mount Patti. Solomon, I don't know if you can hear me clearly, but give us an update on the rich tourist potential in Kogi State, especially the location where you are right now.
Good afternoon, Nigeria. I'm standing on Mount Patti, located in Lokoja, the Kogi State capital. The Mount Patti itself is 1,500 feet above the sea level. And on top of the mountain, the land is flat. And it has typical features such as water spring, we have economic trees, as well as arable land for farming. And it may interest you that for a first timer coming onto the mountaintop, it is breathtaking. For us in the news department of NTA Lokoja, we do it twice a day, because NTA News Studio is built on top of on the mountain. And other communication giants, including radio and television, on the height to also have their studios right here on top of the mountain. And if you look clearly, behind me is the confluence of rivers Niger and Benue. From the top of the mountain, you can have a good view of Lokoja itself. Aside what you are seeing there, so many Nigerians do not know that Lokoja was the first capital of Nigeria. The colonial masters operate from here. They administer Nigeria here from Lokoja, and their relics are everywhere for everyone to see. Some of those relics include the spot where Royal Niger Company flag was lowered and Union Jack hoisted, signifying the establishment of British rules. Iron of Liberty, where slaves were freed. First primary school in northern Nigeria. European cemetery. We also have the first hospital and even first prisons in northern Lokoja here. The Lugard House, where government house is currently seated, was the office of Lord Lugard, where he operated from. And he normally climbed here, the Mount Patti, to come and rest. So on top of the mountain here, we have Lord Lugard's rest house. And it will interest you also to know that Flora Shaw, a British journalist who later became Lord Lugard's wife, named Nigeria, coined from Niger area after observing happenings by the river Niger bank. With me to talk more on some of the relics in Lokoja, which are good for tourist adventure, is Rufus Elab, is the curator, National Museum, Lokoja. Sir, we have so many relics, European relics in Lokoja. Why is it that they have not been listed by the federal government?
Well, first of all, let me appreciate you for bringing me to your studio here. This is an opportunity that I have been looking for. right from 2001. Honestly, when we talk about monuments in the entire federation, Lokoja as a whole, when you come down to Lokoja, you will know that yes, people should know what relics means, because we have them in excess in this place. But the problem that we are having now with those relics is one, which I have been following, the issue of enlisting those relics. Actually, it is not the responsibility of National Museum or the federal government to enlist the relics that are here in Kogi State. So it is primarily the responsibility of the state government vis-a-vis the tourism board, or Ministry of Culture and Tourism. It is their responsibility to at least enlist. After that, they will now have to gazette. By gazetting means they must put it in proper order and then send it to State House of Assembly for onwards legislative policy. That is basically what enlistment of relics is all about.
So what should we expect from you as time goes on?
Yeah, like I said earlier on, this is something that I personally and my former Oga curator, we initiated. We did that in order to ensure that, yes, all of those things are enlisted. And we followed to the extent that we followed up to House of Assembly. We met with those people that we're supposed to meet with, and that is in the effort, or in an effort to push for the enlistment. Now, currently, what we are about doing, we have that synergy. There is that synergy between Tourism Board and Museum now, as regards that. So it is advisable for Tourism Board or the ministry concerned to please, if at all you want to make the relics to be viable, to generate income for the state, then you need to do the needful. List them, gazette them, and forward them to National Assembly.
Thank you very much. It is expected that going forward, a lot will be done to harness all the potentials in the tourism sector for the growth and development of Nigeria's economy. Back to the studio.
Thank you so much, Solomon. A beautiful place to visit. We must promote domestic tourism in Nigeria. There's so much to harness. And of course, it's not only the tourist sites. Lokoja is blessed with all the mineral resources. As we turn to mining issues, in view of the environmental challenges as a result of mining activities in parts of the country, the African Center for Leadership, Strategy and Development is engaging stakeholders to review the guidelines for producing community development agreements. At a consultative meeting by the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development and the African Center for Leadership, Strategy and Development, the stakeholders noted that lack of faithful implementation of the agreement and lack of commitment by some mining firms are major challenges. The Ministry of Mines and Steel Development, however, promised to be more decisive in the implementation of such agreement through her state offices.
We have been able to, about 224 companies thereabouts have signed CDAs. And remember, CDAs renewal every 5 years. The communities now send in their wish list. This is what we want borehole, we want clinic, scholarships and all of that. Then the company now comes together with the community, with the Federal Ministry of Mine and Steel Development, our state officers in the states, the Merenco committee, they sit together and now, come together and strike a balance.
All of those benefits that are anticipated are not going to come to communities. Yes, Nigeria already have a CDA guideline, but we felt that there is need for a review because there are a lot of gaps on the current guidelines that we have. So what CNLSD did was to do a research.
The African Center for Leadership, Strategy and Development continues its engagement with other stakeholders. Well, strict adherence to regulations is the only way the federal government can generate revenue from the mining industry. President, Miners Association of Nigeria, Dele Ayaleke, who made the observation in Abuja, however, is optimistic that with a promising takeoff by the Tinubu administration and the renewed commitment by the Miners Association, the future of mining in Nigeria looks bright. And if the right people are assigned to man the sector, Nigeria will be a destination of choice for foreign investors. The association regrets a situation where raw materials are exported to other countries due to lack of local manufacturing capacity.
Engages more with the regulatory authorities. If you see money, there's dynamism in mining. Things are changing every day. And of course, the situation that's on ground now, especially with this incursion of foreigners into the mining sector, and all these multiple regulations, multiple regulatory agencies, multiple taxations, they are putting a lot of burdens on our operators.
All of us should come together, work together for the progress of the association and for the development of mining industry in the country.
Right, let's head to another location to join our Felicia. I'm talking about Jos for more reports on Nationwide. Hello, Felicia.
Ruth, welcome to Jos. Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, has challenged graduating airmen and women of the Air Force Military School to display high moral standards for professional development in service. This was in a message at a combined passing out parade of junior airmen and women held at the Air Force Military School Parade Ground, Jos. Ndenyan and Abagang reports.
This is the norm for the Nigerian Air Force, as training for excellent performance remains a tradition in enabling the airmen and women perform optimally towards strengthening the territorial integrity of the country. The personal parade is the culmination of their training as junior airmen and women. The Chief of the Air Staff, represented by Chief of Administration Air Vice Marshal Idi Sani, admonished the graduating junior airmen and women to focus on the attainment of goals and imbibe high morals by giving the society their best.
I want to reiterate our profound commitment to improving the quality and well-being of students at the military schools through the provision of new and rehabilitation of existing infrastructure, as well as facilities for enhanced quantitative and qualitative teaching and learning process.
The graduation had both serving and retired officers and men of the Nigerian Air Force who witnessed the presentation of prizes to the junior airmen and women who distinguished themselves in the 6 years of military training in Jos. Ndenyan and Abagang, NTA News.
Still on education, Ahmadu Bello University Zaria and University of Jos are collaborating towards providing well-equipped and functional laboratories for scientific research purpose. A delegation from Ahmadu Bello University is in Jos to ensure success of this planned collaboration. Saadatu Mohammed Kafa reports.
One of the core mandates of universities across the country is learning and research. While learning is given top priority, research, on the other hand, is given less attention due to inadequate funding for research purpose. This delegation from ABU Zaria is here to seek ways of collaboration with University of Jos towards owning research and research facilities. Leader of the team says Ahmadu Bello University has commissioned a multi-user research laboratory, which is the largest in Africa for this purpose.
We're expanding rising research horizon, and we felt all other university and industry should be brought along if we must survive as a university.
Vice Chancellor, University of Jos, Professor Tanko Ishaya, represented, comments the initiative, noting that the collaboration will go a long way towards reviving moribund facilities in research laboratories between the two universities.
Need research to be able to relate more with the industry. So by promoting this aspect of research, we are going to be having some frontiers in the industry and then thereby bridge the gap, because the result of our research will definitely be useful for the stakeholders.
The delegation was at the Africa Center of Excellence in Phytomedicine Research and Development to inspect the Cancer Research Laboratory, Extraction Laboratory and Analytical Laboratory in Jos. Sa'adatu Muhammad Kafa, NTA News.
Those are the stories from here, and Port Harcourt will be our next stop. But after the break, stay with us.
Welcome to Port Harcourt. Experts in the agricultural value chain have enjoined the present administration to review policies on agriculture towards sufficient food production. This is in the effect to mitigate the impact of subsidy removal on the economy. Kingsley Amaju reports.
The rising cost of food items in the market puts the average Nigerian household at the receiving end. Many of those living below the poverty line find it difficult to afford basic food needs. This is why they are commending President Bola Tinubu's decision to declare a state of emergency on food production towards addressing rising cost of living.
We just hope that this declaration by the President will help make food available to the commoners.
Here in Rivers State, Celestina Obari and other environmentalists are concerned about the pollution of the environment and implication on food production. They want the remediation of Ogoni land, bearing in mind that the people actively engage in agriculture.
When you talk about this food that they are talking about, food security, they will not plant food in the air. It will be on the soil, to be in the land. This area used to be very fertile, but oil pollution and the issues of perennial flooding would not allow people to go to farm.
If their communities are cleaned up, they will fish. If their communities are cleaned up, they will farm.
The issue of oil bunkering or artisanal refining is not something that anyone should support anymore.
Kalewana Ale is from the Orashi axis of Rivers State, where flooding is a yearly concern affecting agriculture.
I come from a place where farming is a major occupation, but the floods are not allowing the crops grow.
Commercial agriculture, to some, should be made attractive.
We need food, not tobacco, and we need to grow more food.
Experts are of the view that plowing the proposed 8,000 naira subsidy removal palliative to investing in food production would have greater positive impact on the overall well-being of the average Nigerian. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
Nigeria could leverage on its women population to address the yearnings of the people, apart from the cardinal role of inculcating moral values and interceding for the family. Ifeoma Omeza reports that this was at a prayer session in Port Harcourt by women from some African countries, aimed at championing peace and unity through prayers. Her reports.
This gathering of the Wali women marked the 23rd International Conference of the group. To stir up Christians to be spiritually alert in prayers is one of the ministry's core values, and the event had a significant atmosphere of praise, worship and warfare prayers for the country. Emmanuel Nuyukure, in a keynote address, charged the women to adopt prayer as a lifestyle to be victorious in every sphere of life. River State Governor Siminalaye Fubara was represented at the event. Wali Women Worldwide started in Port Harcourt in May 1998 in response to a cry from God's heart to his daughters concerning the spiritual state of the church and the Nigerian nation.
Asking women
from around the world, wherever they are listening to us. God wants women to rise up. God wants them to pray for their nations. Women have something in their wombs that God wants. And when women arise and pray together, nations are going to be changed.
And it gives us direction for our nation, Nigeria, other nations of the world, and for our families.
Delegates at the conference were drawn from across the nation and beyond. In Port Harcourt, Ifoma Omisa, NTA News.
And that's the size of a package from here. Nationwide continues with Ruth in Abuja. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Gabriel. The 34th Engineering Assembly of Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, Quran, has resolved to improve local content participation of its members across the value chains in Nigeria. Now, this will form part of the deliberations at the ongoing evaluation and review at a 3 days engineering assembly holding in Abuja. Quran says it will come up with proactive measures on the way forward for members of the umbrella body.
Engineers, technicians, technologists, craftsmen that are practicing in Nigeria and even in diaspora usually comes together and review our activities for 1 year.
We are looking at an international perspective to what we will be discussing. We hope that at the family forum we'll rub minds a little bit different from what we are used to.
Every nation, every clan has code of conduct. If we are entrenching engineering practice, we need to know, we need to have a standard. We need to look at what are the codes. If you want to supervise, you must look at the areas and codes of what you need to practice.
This year's Engineering Assembly will accommodate members in the diaspora, with participation being physical and virtual. The completion and opening of the second Niger Bridge for use was greeted with joy and relief by Nigerians, particularly those who ply the eastern axis of the country. But negative reports of unscrupulous people vandalizing the bridge has left the government needing to put special security measures in place to secure the components. Our correspondent, Tessie Coker, is live now at the second Niger Bridge for fact-finding. Tessie, I'm sure you can hear me very clearly. What's the latest update as regards the vandalism of the bridge?
Hello, Ruth. Nice seeing you again. Looking gorgeous as usual. Well, we are the second Niger Bridge, which is the gateway to the southeast and south-south. And since the inauguration of the second Niger Bridge, Ruth, I would like to tell you that motorists have been so happy and grateful to the federal government. Just recently, and of course, it has also reduced the gridlock hitherto experienced at the old bridge. And just recently, we got reports of some hoodlums that came here to vandalize some section of the second Niger Bridge. And that actually spurred the permanent secretary of Ministry of Works and Housing to make an on-the-spot assessment on the portion to ascertain the level of damage. And of course, she did advise residents of the area to continue to protect federal government property. And that is what she told residents. I have my guests here. We have the Chief Resident Engineer here in Agua. He's here to give an update, an insight to the level of damage. Sir, you're welcome to the largest network TV in Africa.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, recently the federal permanent secretary was here to ascertain the level of damage that the hoodlum caused during the vandalism of the second Niger Bridge. What will you tell us that has taken place so far?
Yeah, so when we got the report of this vandalization, the permanent secretary came to have an on-the-spot assessment, and he made it clear that the community, the host community, should take responsibility, own the project, see it as their own, and also be part of the security of this place.
On our part, the ministry has also written to the police hierarchy, the DSS and the army, to include this new a complement to that. We're also making provision to have solar component so that when they now, in addition to the national grid, the solar energy will be a complement to lightening of the bridge. So by the time all these things are put in place, we believe that these vandals will be, deterred.
Okay, Engineer, we also got the report that some residents or those road users, of course, have been complaining about the light. Okay, they're calling me to random. Okay, so that's it, Ruth from the second Niger bridge here in Delta State.
Thank you very much, Tessie, and for that update. And of course, we got reports that 24-hour surveillance has been done around the second Niger bridge to ensure security is guaranteed. But talking sports, we just received reports that the Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, is presently hosting the FIBA Women Afro Basketball 2023 Tournament Champions, the Tigers, in the State House. Well, she's appreciating them for their outstanding performance. And on that beautiful note, we come to the end of Nationwide. Thank you very much for your company. I'm Ruth Aguele. Do have a pleasant evening.